Hi, it's Jeff here. Just before we start our latest Six Nations pod, just a quick word to remind you of the Harpin Guinness Pint Predictor League. If you think you can predict the scores from this year's championship better than our panelists, then why not prove it by first downloading the free Fanzo app, then joining our league. Just enter the code Harpin, that's Harpin. There's a signed copy of the book on how to become a pro rugby player by Brian Moylett to be won by the best score in a single Six Nations round. The leader so far is Andrew Byrne with 67 points, and you'll have two more chances to beat that. And of course, you can also win a free pint from every match just by getting close enough to the right result. Right, on with the preview show. Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to this week's Six Nations action is someone earning cap number 49. Welcome back to Mr. Neil Keego. Keegan.
49 caps. Wow, this is beyond a joke at this stage. I hope you're well.
That's it. Yeah, very well. And before we get to this week's preview, why don't you tell us what you've got coming up on the stand-up circuit, Keego?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Well, I was in Limerick last night. So all of the work I've been doing here, making friends with the people of Limerick, really helped.
Yeah,
so we had a full house. Everyone was in great form. And then next Thursday, I think it is, the 16th, heading to Galway into the Roisin Dove, and then back to Dublin the following week for a couple of gigs, and then over to Birmingham, and then a couple of weeks off to try and write some funny new stories. So it's non-stop. But Limerick was great. Talking rugby without causing arguments. It was a brand new experience for me, so it was great.
Very good training for you. Yeah, that's brilliant. And of course, all the links for all his gigs are in the program notes. Okay, so now it's time to start harping on this week's feature match, which, as you can see up there, is Scotland v Ireland. It's in round 3 of the 2023 Guinness Six Nations, and it kicks off at Murrayfield at 3 p.m. on Sunday, March the 12th. The match is being broadcast on RTE2 and ITV1. Ireland named their starting lineup at lunchtime on Friday, so let's have a look, starting with the back line. And we've got Hugo Keenan at full back. The wingers are James Lowe and Mac Hansen. The centres are Bundy Aki and Gary Ringrose, and the halfbacks are Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton. Captain.
We can't really argue a huge amount. I know people are talking about Stu being left out. I think with as we'll talk about the bench, I think that's the reason why there. We've got that balance now. We have our 3, I guess, main midfielders who need more minutes. Obviously, Gary missed last week, 50 caps. I kind of think, I assumed he had 150 caps the way, you always think about him in that jersey now. We obviously need to get minutes into Robbie and Aki as well. I think Stu has done a great job. I think he's a bit of a calf injury, which is there's a couple of alarm bells coming up now with hamstrings and calves and things, which shows they're doing a huge amount of running, which is great. They're tackling into the 81st minute, trying to win the game all the way that late. The problem is some of them are starting to break down now, which is a worry. But in terms of like Murray's obviously felt the pressure and responded well. Him and Sexton, look, I have to start saying this out loud. This is pretty close to our semi-final team, and this is I do think we'll talk about the forwards, which I think might be a little bit where we need a bit of work. But I think the back line, you'd pay money for that back line. That's the best compliment we can say.
Yeah, I mean, we had a pod during the week. I had a pod from a panelist from all the provinces, and we all agreed on Stu that he was unlucky, and it was gas because just when the New Zealand series happened, we were talking about our centers, our Henshaw, Ringrose, Aki, and James Hume. And that was it. And there was no one else getting into that little club there. And now Hume is the one fighting back to get into the team. And McCluskey is the one unlucky not to feature because he's, like you say, he's had a great competition so far. But if there's any suggestion of an injury, I suppose we're probably better going with the fitter players, especially with the short turnaround to the England game. So yeah, he's unlucky not to make it, but it's good to see Gary Ringrose back, and there's a lot of names coming back into this lineup that it's really good to see, and Sexton, of course, and Ringrose are among them. But we'll move on to the forwards now, anyway, as you say. And the front row is Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyke Furlong. The second row, Ian Henderson and James Ryan, and the back row, Peter Manny, Josh van der Fleer, and Caelan Doris.
Here we go. Right, this is our semi-final front row. This is our final front row. I'm saying all this stuff out loud now. This is our front row.
Oh, I'm gonna bleep that
the
out. You know that, don't you?
no, listen, I woke up this morning as we were deciding we were going to have a chat, and I was kind of going, right, am I going to verbalize this, or am I going to be scared to verbalize it? There is obviously a bit of fear when you say these things out loud, but everything is lining up. It's a matter of the team continuing to evolve and perform. You look at what that front row has done. You look at what Beelum has stepped in and done and has been doing over the last 18 months. That's our A1 front row, the envy of the world right there. Everyone can pass, catch, kick, tackle, run. It's amazing. So let's we don't need to talk too much about that aside from the fact that it's great to see Furlong back in the start. Watching him sing the anthem is worth twice the price of admission. The second row now, that's where I think, in terms of depth and all that sort of stuff, and especially when you see, I keep going back to our province, which is not the point I'm trying to make here, but you see the job Jenkins does in the blue jersey when he's fit and in there. And you look at what we need in the green jersey. Ryan has obviously stepped up massively. He's back, he's confident, he's strong. He looks a bit bigger, he looks a bit angrier. That's great. It's beside him that we have a slight issue, especially with Tyburn being injured. So I don't want to see the old Henderson, but I want to see a reinvigorated Henderson. I know there's been injuries and things like that, but that's where we need that. We need that kind of, people say enforcer. It's the wrong word. Strength is also the wrong word because he's a big, strong, angry man. But we need that extra bit of oomph there in the 4 jersey. And I think he's got to do it this weekend. I think Scotland have also named their A1 squad. They're ready to rock and roll. It's the second row I feel they're going to try and go for, whether it's line out, whether it's scrum. That's what they're going to try and do, because back row, again, that's worth twice the price of admission. You look at the job O'Mahony does in that green jersey. It's unbelievable. What the thing you look at afterwards is the amount of rucks he hits. Look at that on the Sunday morning. That's going to be frightening to read because he just doesn't stop. Great to see Doris in there. You can talk about kind of maybe going back to the second row, Baird getting in there and doing a bit of time, which I think may happen, which I think may be a slight kick in the arse for Henderson. I'm talking about it like there's a problem. It's a great selection. There's a couple of things that just need, put an elastic band around Henderson's testicles and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think what we'll have to do is, I'd like to see us go after the Scottish line out, and I think we've got the players to do that. Henderson can, James Ryan can definitely do it, and Peter O'Mahony is very good at disrupting things as well. That's one place where the Scots will be looking to get the better of us. But yeah, no, it's definitely a good selection. And the best thing I can say about Finlay Beelum's contribution is that if he were fit, I'm concerned about the 6-day turnaround to the England match as well. You don't always look beyond it, but it is something to consider. And I think a bit like a couple of the others who are returning, if Beelum was fit, I think he could have started and they could have had Furlong on the bench and brought them on just for less game time. There's nothing against Tom O'Toole, but it's just I think Beelum has played that well that he could have earned a start. Well, let's have a look at that bench now. Anyway, so Ronan Kelleher, Ken Healy, and Tom O'Toole are the front row. Ryan Baird at 19, Jack Conan at 20, and then the backs are Jemison Gibson Park, Ross Byrne, and Robbie Henshaw.
What a bench. We were thinking, right, they're going to Gibson Park and Sexton will be right there in the middle again. Murray's put a bit of pressure on and he's ready to go. Obviously, we'll get minutes into Gibson Park. But look at that replacement front row there. You know what I mean? You look at the medals in Kelleher and Healy. O'Toole is going to do that job. He did a great job anytime he's come on. He's really galvanized us again. Not that we're getting tired, but it's a bit passy, and he is smashy. And it's a beautiful thing. And then you see Ross Byrne. So he's now cemented as our number 2, which is, I think it's important for him between the ears, and it's important for us. We've been saying it for a long time. It's great that we are not insane. We're actually seeing what's happening. And then we've got Henshaw ready to go. He's going to be hungry again. I think it's the right call playing Aki with the extra few minutes he's had. And then Henshaw's going to come on. But again, if Ringrose plays the full 80, that's another huge batch of minutes in his boots. He got a break last week, but he still has a lot of minutes in the boots, which is a little bit of a worry.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot was said about what happened against Italy, and we were looking for, we keep talking about these work-ons that we feel we need in all these Irish performances, because they keep getting maximum point wins, so you're trying to find something constructive to bring forward. And we looked at the centers. We were saying maybe we weren't as defensively as tuned in the centers, and that wasn't to knock Bundyaki, that wasn't to knock anyone that was there. It's what you say, minutes in the boots. Ringrose brings that calmness, the experience, and the leadership as well now that we want in that crucial position, and you will see it hopefully on Sunday as well. So it'd be good to see him, like you say, as with Henshaw, due to come on at some stage, it's really going to shore things up. And of course, he can play either position in the midfield, so he's good for that jumper for now. Okay, so now it's time to have a look at our opposition, which of course is Scotland. As ever, my graphics department is going to put their names up on the screen, or if you're listening to the podcast, they can be found in the program notes. What are you making of their lineup, Keego?
They're not here to mess around. The only thing that I noticed, and it's very rare I watch enough French rugby, but I made sure to tune in to watch Finn Russell the other day. Now, maybe it's always there. I please correct me, but there's a lot of strapping on his leg. He did not look happy. Now, I guess you wouldn't be happy being dragged out of camp and having to come back like Sexton years ago. Is that going to have an effect on him, or is that going to make him a little bit more, angry, I suppose is the word. And he doesn't work well angry. He works well relaxed. You look at Hogg at the back there. They're not here to mess around. I do think they fancy a shot at our second row in the line out. I do think they do fancy Van der Merwe versus Hansen on the wing. Not skill for skill, but I just mean in terms of general size. So I think we're going to see a lot of kicking from Scotland, but they're not here to mess around. It's rare that we remember the great Scottish teams, and they kind of dipped and they kind of upped and down, peaks and valleys. This is a really great team they've picked. It's a really strong coach. It all makes sense. So it's not going to be easy. When we come to our predictions, it's not going to be plus 30 or anything like that. But they can't pick a better team.
Yeah, I mean it's easy just to look at Russell, but like you say, there's names that can hurt you all the way through. Van der Merwe, Hogg, they've a good center pairing there. They're missing Gilchrist, of course. He got his red card, but they bring in the Gray brothers there to the second row, so they know about this level. And then of course, my own favorite position, that the old number one Schumann there is his. I've been talking about his battle with Porter. I know they're not coming up against each other in the scrums, but they both wearing the number one, and they're both that kind of dynamic kind of player. And then you got Schumann with his carries, and Porter he does carries as well, but he gets in and jackals turnovers. There's so much more than props are usually expected to, or maybe that was just me that I was never expected to do. But they in the modern day they bring much more to the game, and those are two of the best at the moment. So interested to see them, and their talent goes all the way to the bench. You talk about our returning center coming into 23. Well, they have a Mr. Chris Harris who knows a thing or two about games like this. He's a 23 as well. So this and Hamish Watson on the bench as well. Loads of names right throughout the lineup. It's going to be an 80-minute contest for sure. Like you say, it should be close. Okay, so now we'll move on to the officials. And as you can see there, Luke Pearce is holding the whistle. Wayne Barnes is running the lines with Christoph Ridley, and it's an all-English official team there. The weather predicted for Edinburgh, the official line is mostly cloudy with a brief shower or two. And it looks like it was written by the Scottish Tourist Board as the best possible spin on the weather there that could be there. But that's as good as we expected. 55% rain, a little bit of wind, should be okay there, which of course moves us on to our predictions. We'll put our heads on the block here. We're going to start with Italy against Wales.
I think Italy are gonna take it. I think if they're able to get a great start. I think I put in the Fanzo app that everyone watching needs to join the Harpin Fanzo League, or maybe don't, just to see how badly I'm doing. I think I put in Italy by 5. I think Italy by 5.
Yeah, I really think they've been targeting this game all along, even before a ball was kicked, even before all the Murphy's Law, whatever you want to call it, it's been happening in Welsh rugby recently. It's the bookies actually have Wales by a point. I'm surprised at that. I thought they might have, given they might be trying to tempt some money going one way or the other, but it's for the first time I think ever you go for a home win in this fixture. I don't think that would have happened since since Italy joined the Six Nations, that they generally be considered favorites. Okay, so that brings us to Le Crunch, which is England against France at Twickenham. What do you see? How do you see that going?
I see it tight as well, but I see France winning. I think I put France. I think it was. I think I put in 7 or 10. 10, I'd say, for France.
Yeah, the bookies have that by 2, but still the fact that they're going for France speaks volumes. I mean, I know they're champions and all, but they have had their issues. But it just shows where English rugby is at the moment. I mean, they're not even putting Farrell in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Things are going the way they are for England. So you definitely have to fancy the French, but it still could be close by the end of it. Which of course leaves us to our match on the Sunday. How do you have it? How do you have it going?
As you said, it's going to be 80 plus minutes. I don't know why my lucky number this weekend is 5. I've lost by 5, no bonus point, but it's going to be a victory that we deserve, we worked for, and we remember.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this match is that depending on how things go at Twickenham, but if nobody gets a bonus point at Twickenham, then a bonus point for us would clinch the championship. But on Scotland's side, whatever happens, Scotland are actually going for the Triple Crown. I mean, they've got silverware on the line as well. It could be a real cup final kind of atmosphere, as you're saying, for Sunday. But I mean, the way things are, Ireland have to be favourites, and you would want to back them, but it definitely won't be easy. Okay, so just one last thing, as it's Friday afternoon, we're recording, so I just want to say best of luck to the under-20s, who also have a Six Nations date with the Scots this weekend. But other than that, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks to Keego for joining me on another preview show.
Cheers, everybody.
And everyone check out his website, KeegoLaughs.com, for news of his latest gigs, and also his podcast, Apologies Up Front. By the way, Apologies Up Front is the name of the pod, not a disclaimer from me, just to be clear. And as ever, all his relevant links can be found in the program notes. So be sure to join the conversation on Mastodon throughout the match, and then maybe head over to our Facebook page at full time and leave your thoughts there. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend of rugby wherever you are, and stay safe, everyone. Slán.